So I actually got pregnant, and so now I need to rethink all of my plans for the rest of the year. And this perfectly encapsulates my attitude towards goal setting, which is always flexible and never self-punishing. Also, it was really hot today, and so the door is wide open. So if you hear street noises, car noises, dog noises, building works noises, we're just gonna have to roll with it because I need to be cool. Maybe you're a goal setting kind of person, maybe you're not. I very much am, but what chronic illness and pregnancy has taught me is that you gotta do it in a chill way. She says that with a very much not chill bingo card that she made. But the mindset towards the goals and reaching them or not is chill. This is less chill. So if you set any goals at the beginning of the year, I invite you to join me. We're gonna be having a look through them in a non-judgmental way and taking stock of things that may be different in your life, circumstances, values, priorities, whatever it may be, and then reassessing for the second half of the year. I'm gonna be going through my 2026 bingo card that I made at the beginning of the year, ticking things off that I can, scrapping things that no longer feel relevant, and creating some new, more relevant goals. And then bonus at the end, I'm gonna check in with how I'm doing with this books bingo card that I also made for some books that I wanna read this year. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. So whether you're just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful website, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to courses and even your time all in one place and all on your terms. I've personally been using Squarespace for years for my professional hannahwitton.com website that has gone through many iterations, and Squarespace has made it super easy for me to update and change my website as my career has changed. Anyone can create their own bespoke online presence that fits your brand or your business. They have a huge library of beautiful and professionally designed website templates. There are options for every use case that you can think of. They are flexible, really intuitive to use with drag and drop editing, lots of different features that you can add to your website, and really cool visual design tools. No experience needed. Also with Squarespace domains, it is easy to find the best name for your business. I personally love getting me a new domain whenever I come up with a new idea for a project. I have many through Squarespace that I own that I'm like, one day I'm gonna do something with this. But it's really useful to use to search for your brand or your business name and see what is available. And it's all at one fair and all-inclusive price with enhanced security and privacy tools. And Squarespace's analytics can really help you make smarter business decisions. You can review your website traffic, learn where to focus engagement, and track revenue from bookings and sales. So if you are in need of your own website or domain, then head to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you are ready to launch into the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, bingo card time. Did I get bingo? Have I got a single row? We'll find out. Okay, right. Okay, here's the situation. So I have been turning a few things over as they happened, but there's definitely some updates that are needed. Okay, we're just gonna start from the top and go down. So this first one is actually already turned over, and this one was darn a pair of socks. And actually, my friend Lena taught me how to darn a pair of socks, and there's a video of that on her channel teaching me and teaching you how to darn. So that I can tick. Have I darned anything since? No, I have not. Have I given something to Lena to darn because I have been under capacity and just can't remember how to do it? That has happened. But I think I have a pretty good excuse. Okay, become a qualified coach. I am so close. I have finished all of the live sessions, like the weekly taught portion of the course. I have submitted all of my recordings for feedback. I'm just waiting on my feedback for the last one, and then I have one more like one-to-one mentoring session after that. And then I need to book in my live observation, which I have to pass. And then I think I've got around 5 or 6 more coaching hours that I need to complete before I am certified. And I'm hoping to do that before the end of the summer, by September. Get pregnant, woo woo, we can flip this one around. This was on the bingo card. It's very hopeful, a very hopeful bingo card edition. We didn't get to tick it off last year, but this year, done. This other one is done. What was this one? Oh yeah, sell Notion templates. I finally did that. I finally got them all out of my brain, out of my personal Notion and onto Notion Marketplace. It is done, and I am so glad that it's done, because it's just something that has been on my goals list, to-do list for years, and it just kind of like feels like a bit of a relief that it's done. But let's just say it's not going to become a new passive income stream. No, 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 no. I felt like I did enough market research for it, but it very much also was like a that'll do job, which is my attitude to a lot of things. It is on me that they've not been very successful, but I also kind of don't care. Like, for me, the win is just like doing it. And if I wanted to, I could make loads more marketing materials for it, like talk about them loads on social media, do like comment this and I'll send you the link. And I like did that once, but realistically we know you have to do that like 10 times for people to like see it and take action. But I can't be bothered, like actually cannot be bothered. Fill sketchbook. So this was like a by the end of the year. This is one that I'm gonna take off. Like, this is not gonna happen. Here's the thing. I had a really fun time like doing bits in this sketchbook for this January like sketchbook challenge, but I just realized that without structure, like I just don't do anything. Like, and yes, in some ways that is a shame, but in other ways it's fine. I accept that like drawing is not something that is like a priority for me, even though like I would love to be the type of person that like draws a lot and like fills in a sketchbook or whatever. But maybe that can go on my like 40 by 40 list that, you know, I'm still working on, even though I'm 34 and I still haven't made the list yet. I just realized that without the structure, it's just not something that I go to. And also with being pregnant now and like other things going on, creating that structure is not something that I have capacity for or want to do. So that's why that's coming off. Okay, read 50 books. Okay, I think I'm on track. Let's check the story graph. So I have read 28 books so far this year. Apparently I'm ahead by 2 books. In terms of my pages goals, I'm ahead by 173 pages. I was ahead by a lot more, but during this first trimester, I have been unable to concentrate on like physical books, and I've only been doing audiobooks. Even so, I am behind in hours by 21.33 hours, but that's fine. That's fine. I mostly care about this number. So we are on track. Creator Talks newsletter revamp. I am going to take this off. It's still something that I want to do, but I just know that it requires a lot of brain power. And again, knowing roughly what the rest of my year is going to look like now, I don't think it is smart to kind of put the pressure on myself to do this one. Next up is host 8 coffee mornings. I've talked about these a little bit in videos where we like open our home on a Sunday morning and just like invite other friends, local parents usually round, and they've been amazing. Guess how many we've done this year? None! We've not done a single one, and I'm actually taking this off the board because I think the reason why is because the need is no longer there. Whilst yes, it would be a nice to have, the reason why we started these was because of this real like need, this like hole in our lives of gathering people, of having a local community. But since my son has like started nursery at a primary school, we are much more plugged in, and like there's stuff happening. We see, especially in the summer now as well, like every Friday everyone hangs out together after school. It's really lovely. So whilst never say never, and we may do some other kinds of hosting, this whole project feels not finished, but just like I don't know what the word is. Also just logistically, like January I was doing IVF, no energy whatsoever. February, there was February half term and my birthday, and then March came, and then it was the Easter holidays, and then I got pregnant. So just logistically, we've just not been able to either. So that one's coming off. Next up was one of my wild card ones, which is move house. And I can say that this one's definitely coming off because there is no fucking way that I am going to be having a baby and moving house in the same 12-month period. Also, we just signed for another 3-year fixed mortgage on this flat. So nope, even if it was a wild card. Okay, next up is weekly voice notes on Patreon. So I've done a few, definitely not weekly. Again, I am terrible when I don't have structure, but this is going to stay on here because it is something that I would like to try and do more ad hoc. Again, I do think I would be better with structure, but also I'm not sure if I quite have the capacity to commit to the structure. This is the forever problem with me, is that it's all or nothing. Like ad hoc would probably work better, but if I don't have structure, then I don't do it. But hopefully now that I'm over the worst of like the first trimester stuff, I want to sit down and actually like try and come up with some more ideas for things so that I have a bit of a looser structure, so that when I have some time, I'm like, oh, I know, I can talk about that thing, I can talk about this thing or whatever. Okay, another wild card was get a real job. This is coming off, we're not keeping this one. Just nope right now. Like there are obviously pros and cons to being freelance in general, and especially like when you're pregnant and about to embark on another maternity leave. But I genuinely just do love the flexibility of being freelance. Like the fact that in my first trimester, I was able to make it work and lay on the sofa for a month. Whereas other people that I know have to work through their first trimester feeling like shit, but I didn't because I'm in charge. Sunny holiday. So I went to Italy at the end of May with Dan and Rowan to visit my granny. I was feeling like shit during it, but it was a sunny holiday. But actually, when this video comes out, I will in fact be on a sunny holiday. So I am turning this one around. This one is getting a star. Sunny holiday, complete. Okay, next up we have Judge a Book Awards. So last year I judged 2, the British Book Awards and then the new British Audio Awards. And I did not judge the British Book Awards this year, but that was probably a blessing because of the timings of it and how many books you have to read. I was like in the throes of IVF then. So no. And I don't know what is going to be public knowledge to share at the point of this video going out, but all I'll say is that we're just keeping that one open. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm gonna say. Do the hallway. This is gonna be our next DIY project. I am keeping it on there, but it might change. We might update this one because essentially now that we know when there is a baby coming, there's so much in this flat we need to sort out. We need to do a huge clear out. We need to like rearrange storage, make sure like, you know, all of the things that have been really high up and out of reach because it's baby stuff needs to like come like down and like closer to reach, and other things need to go up there. Anyway, there's a lot to sort out in the flat. This is just one of the things. So we shall see. Learn tarot. This is one that whilst it does still interest me, I am gonna get rid of because it's not gonna happen this year, guys. It's just not. I know it's not. But I have been doing research. I got my cards. I've also like found a cool bookshop in London that do tarot classes, do workshops. That has come recommended by a friend. And so when I do feel like I'm ready to take the plunge, like I would love to do some of their workshops. And then also I found a book that I'm curious to read that is about tarot. I've currently got it on hold on Libby, but again, I'm just like not able to like read with my eyes at the moment. So I've had to suspend my hold. And it's Wildcard by Jen Cownie and another author. And the reason why that one appealed to me is because I've just heard Jen Cownie speak about Taylor Swift on Sentimental Garbage podcast a lot of times. I think she's quite funny. That's literally it. I feel like this might be another one that goes on the 40 by 40 list. Maybe we're starting to actually create this 40 by 40 list. Guys, I've been working on this list for obviously like 4 years, and I think it's got like 12 things on it. But maybe now that I know when second baby is coming, you know, completing our family and all that, maybe I can start thinking about what I want to do before I'm 40. Okay, next, sort my back out. So I did go to a physio. I was doing all the exercises, and then obviously everything went to shit with pregnancy. Honestly, the back situation doesn't feel as pressing. I don't know whether that's like because I've spent a month reclining on the sofa rather than like hunched over a desk. Just an observation. But my hip situation is definitely something that I need to figure out this pregnancy, because lying on my left hand side still really hurts. And once I get bigger, I am gonna need to be able to lie on my left. I'm gonna need options for comfort. So I need to figure that one out. I haven't quite made a plan for that yet. So I think I'm gonna leave that one on, and it might be another one that we like change and adapt. Okay, new short form series. So I did this. I am actually gonna turn this over, even though it was just 4 episodes. I'm calling it the pilot series or something. It was Do You Have a Hobby? They were all filmed on the same day with a bunch of other people. But the reason why we're not continuing it, at least at this point, is again, capacity. It's not very sustainable. Like, they were very expensive to get edited, and they didn't like perform as well as I would have liked. But obviously I only did 4 episodes. So, you know, I didn't really give it a lot of time. But it's also not super sustainable for me in terms of my actual work and lifestyle. In order to do that series, I have to be regularly with other people who I don't know very well, because I'm having to guess their hobby. Like most of my friends, I like know what their hobbies are. So it has to be people who I know, I'm friendly with, ideally are also creators, because then they're more likely to be up for filming. And being out and about and like meeting people and stuff in that way is just not my lifestyle as much anymore. Like, I am at home working most of the time alone. It's a series that I still love, and like the idea and the values behind it I'm really passionate about and really into. So maybe there's something that I can do there, just figuring out what I can do with that kind of concept, with that kind of like mission about talking about leisure and hobbies, but in a way that like fits my routine and life better. Food for thought. Anyway, we've got another one that is turned over here. What was this? It was do a mini cryptic crossword. And I introduced my dad to cryptic crosswords, and together, combined, we completed an entire Guardian mini cryptic. So that's why that is turned over. Also, me and my dad daily send each other our minute cryptic results every day. So love that for me. Love that for me. Run one in-person workshop. So this one I'm sadly getting rid of, because it is just not a priority for me right now when I really think about how much work is involved in pulling something off in a way that I would feel proud of hosting something. That's not to say there won't be any other kinds of workshops. I have to be realistic with myself. This is not a priority. Okay, another crazy wild card was write a book. And to that I say, absolutely not. Nope, I'm good. Patreon strategy course. So at the beginning of the year, I started developing what this course would look like. I was taking the one-to-one strategy course that I've done with a few different people and figuring out how you'd make it work as a group. I then very quickly realized that it would involve pre-filming a lot of videos for participants to watch, because I feel like the real value in doing something as a group is that group dynamic, is being able to come together, bounce ideas off of each other, hear what other people have to say. It's not just about me imparting my knowledge to them. It's like the group situation. So I've thought it would be a waste of group time for me just to go, this is how this works, this is how this works. Like, you want to use that time for discussion and exploration and feedback and all of that. So I realized, okay, I would have to like pre-film all of these kinds of videos that are information based, like just imparting the information, and then you come together as the group to chat. And this is all while doing IVF. So I was like, as soon as I realized that, I was like, okay, this is a much bigger task than I realized. And so I kind of put it on pause. And then Patreon themselves, on their Patreon for Creators page, released a self-led how to launch on Patreon course. And obviously, like, great, that is a free resource for people to use. I had a look at it, and I did feel like there's 100% still value in doing some kind of like cohort thing. And I've been talking to Patreon being like, please let me lead something. Nothing hath come to fruition yet. So this is something that I would love to still do, like some kind of like group cohort, like let's all launch our Patreons together. But yes, unfortunately, I think with the kind of workload that is involved, that is not something that is going to be able to happen in the next 5-6 months. We're getting rid of a lot of things. This bingo card is looking very empty. Travel to the US of A. This was a wild card simply because I used to travel to the US for work all of the time and haven't done since January 2020. But no, I have no interest and no plans, so that's fine. Move Between the Sheets newsletter to Patreon. So yes, at the time of filming this, it has not happened yet, but hopefully by the time you're seeing this, the move will have happened. I just got the email from Patreon one day just saying, hey, it's your turn. We can move your Substack contacts over to Patreon. So leaving it open for now, just like for me in terms of my timeline, but this one should be imminently done. That does not mean that my newsletter is paid. No, it's still a free monthly newsletter. It's just on a different platform, but it all functions the same. We have another one that is done. This one was, poker night with friends. Yes, I did that for my birthday. I put that on here knowing that it was already definitely gonna happen, but I had a pancakes and poker night for my birthday whilst our son was up in Manchester with my parents. And so we had like a whole night, was able to start at like 5 and end at like 11. It was great. And then the final one hit 100,000 subscribers. And this one we can turn over, and I have something to show you. Presented to more Hannah for passing 100,000 subscribers, YouTube. Very pleased that this channel has officially, finally hit 100,000 subscribers. So thank you all so much. Wouldn't it be embarrassing now if it had like dipped back under, but fingers crossed not. There's actually going to be a video out next week that is a vlog with me unboxing this. It is very light. It is very different to the first one that I got many years ago for the other channel, but she is pretty, and this channel officially has 100,000 subscribers, which is a nice round number, and it makes me feel good. Very superficial, I know, but hey, we're out here making content on the internet. Every zero counts. Okay, so this is what my bingo card looks like with the non-priority things taken off and everything that is done turned over. And there are 2 things on here, the like becoming a qualified coach and moving the newsletter to Patreon, that we know are gonna get turned over fairly soon. What is left? Okay, so we have left become a qualified coach, happening very soon. Read 50 books. We're on track, but obviously like something might get in the way. We'll see. Weekly voice notes on Patreon, judge a book awards, watch this space, do the hallway, sort my back out, AKA now my hip out, and move between the sheets newsletter to Patreon. So what's new? I have made some new cards. Do I have enough space for these? This is a good question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. We're not even filling the whole thing up because we don't need to. It's fine. One of the things that I struggled with the most when we were trying to conceive, this pregnancy took us 2.5 years and 1 round of IVF. I'm really sorry about the drilling sound. Hopefully you can't hear it. But the thing I struggled with the most was just not being able to plan anything. I am a planner. I was living in this state of limbo. I was not able to look forwards into the near future, far future. And second to the sadness of just not being pregnant, that was definitely one of the hardest things for me to be dealing with for such a long period of time as well, like 2.5 years of not being able to make future plans because I didn't know if I would be pregnant or if I would have a baby, and there was lots of things that I didn't do or said no to. Yeah, just kind of being in a state of limbo and like not taking action. It was definitely not my natural state. And so obviously I'm overjoyed about being pregnant and having another baby. And also there's just this relief that I actually have a date in the future, in the calendar, of when there's gonna be a new baby. And so I can start actually planning my life and planning work around that. Honestly, to be able to plan things feels incredible. Feels great. Okay, so I've got no more pink wild card. I've got more personal stuff, which, let's be real, is mostly like pregnancy, baby related, and then also some more work things. Okay, so let's start with the personal. We have got, so the first one that I have is play tennis. This is really just like play what tennis that I can, because I have barely played any tennis this year because I wasn't allowed to do a lot of rigorous exercise during IVF stuff. I've been feeling too tired and shitty to play any tennis. But now that I'm starting to feel a bit better, I want to play as much tennis as I can in this window that I have before I get too big. Last time I had to stop playing tennis when I was about 20, 21 weeks maybe, because like something was happening in my hips when I was playing that was so painful and I had to stop. So I've got this window. Obviously that might not happen this time, but in my head I'm like, I need to take advantage of this window. And I love tennis, as you may or may not know. So I really want to just get it in there, play some tennis before I can't anymore. Kind of related to this is figure out my pregnancy exercise routine. In my last pregnancy, in the last 3 months, I was going swimming like every other day and I absolutely loved it. I got just a 3-month membership to a really bougie gym with a lovely pool. And I might do the same again. It's just trickier to figure out the routine around it because I now also have a 4-year-old. So my routine is very different. But yeah, I want to like figure out a regular like pregnancy yoga thing or just a swim thing. I don't know what it is, but I want to figure that out and I want to try and make that a priority. So find what I want to do and then like chat to Dan and like figure out if I can make time for it and when and whatnot. The next one is big flat clear out. I think I'm gonna do the hallway on there because that's like then step 2. If we do the big flat clear out and then we like do something to the hallway after that if we need to. Lots to do there. And I'm gonna try my best to film it because who doesn't love a home organization video? Next up is baby moon with Dan. Is this in fact just a personal goal? Is it even logistically possible for me and Dan to go away together, just the two of us? When was the last time we went on holiday, just the two of us? Logistically, I'm like, I don't think this is gonna happen. I don't think this is possible. Also, Dan hates traveling. Why? So it's not like it's gonna be a priority for him. Like if this is gonna happen, I will really need to spearhead it. But I'm putting it on there anyway, because in an ideal world, I would love to like go away for the weekend with him, just him, before this baby comes. And then the last one of the green personal cards is figure out mat leave. There we go. So last time I took 3 months off, and the thing is I'll probably do something quite similar this time, but there's also a part of me that like, I don't know, might want to like tweak and change what I did last time. I need to figure that out. I need to figure out what it is that I want, what is possible, what feels right, what works with everyone in the family, figure out mat leave. Next up, we got the work cards. So first up is do more coaching. Duh. Once I'd booked enough clients to get the hours that I needed during the course, and also I found out I was pregnant, I closed my like booking links for discovery calls. So I have not been making any effort to like find new clients, but my plan is after the summer, maybe towards the end of August, like opening up that booking link again as a certified coach and getting people booked in for the autumn essentially. And I would like to like get as many hours and clients under my belt that I can fit in before I take a break. I really should think about having a wait list, or maybe shall I check the description to see if I have opened that booking link by the time this video comes out. I'll probably be booking discovery calls in August, but coaching actually won't start until September. But yes, I want to do more coaching. I know that's a really vague goal, but it's just like, I want to just do as much as I can until this baby comes. This next one is definitely more of a concrete goal though, and it is Vlognica. The timings of this pregnancy basically mean that I will be heavily pregnant whilst doing Vlognica. It's just kind of perfect timing because it could be a really fun big send-off before I go on mat leave. Hanukkah this year is early December, and me and my team usually all like finish working like mid-December, like a week before Christmas anyway. And then the baby's coming shortly after that. So part of my mat leave is definitely like do Vlognica and then fucking bounce. But I really want to do that before the end of the year. I think it could be really fun. If you don't know what Vlognica is, I make 8 videos for the 8 days of Hanukkah. That's Vlognica. There we go. Okay, next up is host a 100K party for my patrons. This is something that I started to plan before I got pregnant because I was like, oh, I'm gonna hit 100K soon. Started having conversations with people. I had a really great conversation with someone who runs this fantastic like art studio space to do something creative with us, but unfortunately the space isn't wheelchair accessible. So then I was like, okay, I need to go back to the drawing board, and then I got pregnant. So I have not made any more progress on organizing this party, but this is something that I still want to do. I want to host like some kind of gathering, meetup for my patrons that we can all just come together, not to necessarily celebrate the 100K, but it's like a nice excuse to like get everyone in the room and hang out. I literally have no idea what to do for it because my first idea didn't work out. But now I need to really think about it and pull something off in the next few months. And then finally, this may feel like a repetition from another one, but it is prep mat leave. So the first one that's like personal of figure out mat leave, that's more like reflective. That's like really figuring out like, what do I want? What do I need? What about my family and everything like that. That's the kind of like reflective piece. Once I've figured that out, then we jump to work mode. Okay, I know what I want. Let's now execute on it. Let's prep for it. Let's plan for it. Let's figure out what needs to get done. So that's why they're kind of like 2 separate pieces. And then we've just got an empty square, and that's fine. Maybe we'll bring back one of these other things that I binned. You never know. I'll keep all of these cards, and maybe one of them will make a grand entrance return towards the end of the year. But do you know what? I kind of doubt it. So I was gonna say it doesn't feel like much, but it kind of still looks like a lot. Obviously, some of these are already turned over and some more of them will be. But also, it's the summer holidays. I have made no work plans over the summer holidays yet. I will be working, but I don't currently know, like at this time, what that is and what capacity I'll have when Rowan will be in childcare, when he won't be. And then December is basically a half month anyway. So realistically, in my mind, I'm looking at this like, this is just September, October, November. This is essentially my home stretch goals, guys. And also I have to remain flexible because I've got a 4-year-old who is starting reception in September. Who knows what this pregnancy will throw at me. So we are approaching all of this again with that mindset of flexibility and compassion. If I'm being honest about the things that absolutely like have to get done, it's becoming a qualified coach, playing tennis. Yes, it is that important to me. Like I just need to like hit a ball at least once before my body physically doesn't allow me to anymore. Pregnancy exercise routine, even if we figure out that the only feasible thing is just like going on lots of long walks. Big flat clear out, figuring out mat leave, planning mat leave, doing more career coaching and Vlognica. That's almost most of them. But it's good to kind of like mentally know what my priorities are. Moving on, books bingo. Let's quick fire go through this. Look, I drew the covers and everything. I don't know if you can like see them. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, red, red, red. Whatever Happened to Madeline Stone, red. Tapestry of Fate, red. Yesteryear, red. Tress of the Emerald Sea, red. The Strength of the Few. My Libby Hold is coming up in like 11 weeks or something. I'm giving myself 11 weeks to be able to like physically read with my eyes again. The Dispossessed. I read The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin this year, and I didn't like it as much as I was expecting to, but from what I've heard about The Dispossessed, I think I'll like it better, so it's staying on there. Love and Exile. Recently bought the physical book, but haven't read yet. Everything is Tuberculosis. Read for our Patreon book club. Monsters. Not read yet. Strange Pictures, haven't, but just keep hearing amazing things about it. And I think there's like 2 more books now that are like sequels or in the same universe or something that I really, really want to read. James, haven't read, but really want to read. The Safekeep, also did for our Patreon book club. Some Desperate Glory, no, not yet. The Poppy War, this is the only one that's on here that I'm like, do I care about this anymore? I think I care more about reading R.F. Kuang's other stuff. Like I still haven't read Yellowface, and then Catabasis, and then she's just announced that she's releasing another book. What the fuck? And then Homebound, which I honestly can't remember what it's about, but Moog suggested it to me and I was like, yeah, that sounds right up my street. Let's add it on there. But yeah, haven't read yet. There are 2 other books that have been added to my like priority TBR since I made this. One is Hollywood Ending, John Green's new novel. The themes of that book sound right up my street. Like it's a love story, but it's also about all of the intricacies of fame. Like it feels very potentially Taylor Jenkins Reid to me, and I love those themes in her books, so very excited about Hollywood Ending. And then also Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This has been like low down on my TBR for ages, and then I just saw that they are making a movie of it, so I bumped it up. So there we go. That's our mid-year goals check-in. How did your mid-year goals check-in go? Has anything major changed for you? What have you ticked off? What have you not? Why not? But also don't worry about it. And what's new? What new goals do you have for the second half of the year? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!